Bonjour. Nanda kakinjige na dinchikas. Nanda kakinjige kaikai na dinchikas. My spirit name comes in two parts. The first part, the Nanda kakinjige, was given to me by Elder Dr. William Commanda, Kitigang Zigi in Quebec, Order of Canada. It means the researcher, the investigator, the guy that gets to the bottom of things. The Kakai part of my spirit name was given to me by grandmother Malahatwa Gwen Therian. Grandmother Malahatwa is from the lower Fraser Valley in British Columbia. My given name is William Arthur Allen. I acknowledge all those who cared for this land and the water under this land and out here in the bay and running in the rivers for the millennia before us. The seen and the unseen, they're here. I acknowledge my teachers, and I went and I paid respect at Site 41, where Leon King, a very good friend from Chimnasing, Gloria King, and met Johnny down there this morning again. And those people would love to be here to hear these words. Elder Leon gave me blessings for the words. He gave me a message to give you that if it rains and you come to Site 41 when it's raining, you won't dissolve, you won't melt. It's okay to be there in the rain. It's water. I am a neighbor. I live in the Georgian Bay watershed, a bit to the north, in the Magnetawan River watershed. I live close to Algonquin Park, north of Huntsville. So I'm a neighbor. Site 41 is very important. So I was thinking of a title for what I was going to say today, and I thought I would call it Pebble in the Pool. Site 41 is an important site for public education about the world's water crisis. It is a site that will draw attention to many other issues related to water. It is a pebble in the world of water. You gathered here today are part of history. And it's history that's no less important than events like the last spike. That's how important Site 41 and this day is. Now, when a pebble goes into the water, it creates a ripple. And some ripples become waves. The Site 41 ripple is already a wave. This is a wave which is going to increase in influence and size and have planetary impacts. All across this blue planet, this wave will spread. People who care about water have been called by my friend and colleague, and I won't steal your thunder, Maud, but she uses the phrase that about blue planet people. We're all blue planet people because we care about water. I'm looking to invite people to the next level. Not just care about water, but be proactive about influencing leaders about water policy. And if you are prepared to take action, and all of you have because you've decided to be here today, then you are blue wave people. You're blue wave people. Blue wave people are magical creatures who can achieve whatever they set their minds to do. And the blue wave movement needs a symbol so that you can tell about your commitment. The symbol must be used in a way that's fluid, just as water is. It's visible, instantly recognizable. I use a long blue ribbon. It can be of different colors. I've got one pinned to my shirt. One of my learnings from my Aboriginal friends and teachers who wear full ribbon shirts. This isn't a full ribbon shirt, it's just a shirt where anybody who looks will know that I'm a water advocate. But they're different colors, different lengths. This can be the symbol of the blue wave movement. You look out in this parking lot, you'll see one vehicle with one of these attached to the aerial. And you know that that's mine. If you want to go and trash it because of what I believe, you'll know where it is. In still water, in still air, you can wave this thing so that it has that symbol of infinity. So this blue movement can go on and on. I invite everybody to think of having a blue ribbon. You could there's no one right way to use a blue ribbon. I've seen them today because many people out at the site this morning accepted my invitation and took a blue ribbon. Some of them want to put them on posts. Some of them want to use them as armbands. Some of them want to cut them into little clips where you've got a little curlicue like that. Do whatever you want. Use it as a stole so it's around. Tie it onto a microphone. Get the symbol in front of the people. Get it in front of the media. The media are our friends because in this country they tell the story. But they've got guidelines and they have to get the story out quick. If you've got a ribbon, that helps tell the story. So the ribbon also is a reminder to me myself of my commitment to be a water advocate. So there aren't enough ribbons for everybody here from the store that I went into. I bought every blue ribbon in the store. And this isn't the Sermon on the Mount, but we can use the same idea. Whoever gets this ribbon, if somebody else wants it, cut it in two. Give a piece to that person. And if somebody else wants it, cut it in two. And pass it on. And when we run out, go to your local store and buy them out of blue ribbons. And when we come back through this town in a week's time, maybe there will be more blue ribbons on aerials. Maybe in 2 weeks' time, there will be 100,000 blue ribbons in Toronto. Maybe in 3 weeks' time, there will be 1 million ribbons in Canada. And by the end of this year, when everybody on the planet is talking about Site 41, maybe there will be millions and millions and millions of ribbons across the countries of this planet. I ask that the use of the ribbons be voluntary, So it's a wonderful idea to send one to Dalton McGuinty, but it's a more powerful idea if someone would bring it to him and invite him to accept it. So please pass the ribbons around. Let's make sure they get to the far corners. If there aren't enough to go around, let's find a way that everybody that wants a ribbon has a ribbon. Find a way. Decision makers must realize that the amount of fresh water is in significant decline on this planet. So it's becoming more and more important as time goes on. Access to water needs to be assured for all people to maintain social equilibrium. Water must not be commodified. It must not be given commercial value or placed in control outside the public interest. It must not be placed in control of profit-motivated corporate interests. The blue wave and the blue ribbon serve as a symbol to help decision makers make the right decision. The blue ribbon, when waved, it's active. It's a reminder that it's never too late to make the right decision. Something that my friend David down there reminded us all at the first rally, and it's a wonderful message, and thank you for delivering that message and letting me think about how that can be expanded. You are a true leader, sir. David Crombie. Well, I'll tell you something else about blue wave people. Blue wave people understand that the decision makers, including all politicians, are under pressure from many forces. And politicians need the support. We've heard this from several speakers already. Politicians need the support of well-researched positions about water that is grounded in the truth about water. The truth includes understanding of principles like cumulative effects. Cumulative effects is a notion that has been ignored at Site 41. Find out what cumulative effects are, find out its legal meaning, find out about the Lafarge decision in the Ontario Court of Appeal with regard to cumulative effects. Find out about that. And then the underlying use of models, which sometimes are helpful, often are used to persuade the decision makers. But blue wave people forgive politicians who've made bad decisions about water. And I see the placard, Peace on Earth, and I commend you and I thank you for bringing that message here. It is such an important message. But blue wave people don't forgive, turn around and walk down the street. After issuing that forgiveness, they also are very clear to those politicians that the decision that was made was bad. That's why forgiveness was required. It was a bad decision. Show why that was a bad decision. And then ask those politicians to correct their mistake. That's the process. Forgive, resolve. So in conclusion, Site 41 is a pebble in the pool. That pebble already has created waves. Those waves are getting bigger and stronger and reaching further. And that's because blue wave people at Site 41 are right.
That's right.
You're right. And you people are motivated not just by personal interest, but by an issue of global concern. And my hat's already off to you. It's a global concern. So I invite all of you, I invite all people to be Blue Wave people and to wave the Blue Wave ribbon of hope. We are all connected. So the Blue Ribbon Wave, starting today at Site 41, will spread. In Anishinaabe, they have a word for it. Ginawe Daganok. We all are connected. Miigwech.
The toughest thing you ever had to do was teach me political science. It didn't work very well. It's the former mayor of Toronto, the former federal cabinet minister, David Crombie.
Good height. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dale. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me, first of all, say what I know is in all of your hearts and minds. Terrific congratulations to the people who put this event together. Just an extraordinary historic event. And my cottage is just over the way here, and I came with my daughter. We thought, well, we'll just sort of park over here. The lineup was endless. We're parked in a ball field. The size of this thing is extraordinary, and those who argue that it's going to go further than simply this place are absolutely right. You've heard so much from so many people, not only today, but in other rallies and other times. I've been asked on a number of occasions, why is it that I oppose Site 41, and why is it that a growing number of other people do? There are many ways to approach the simple question, why are you opposed to it? Let me offer three, what I think, are fundamental things to remember about Site 41. First of all, this site, Site 41, has been environmentally illegitimate since it began. Since it began. Not just new, 20 years ago, when people said, let's put it on Site 41, the Environmental Review Board at the time, charged with the responsibility of looking after our environmental health, rejected the site as inappropriate. 20 years ago. 20 years ago. Politically, it was allowed to stay in the public agenda through the political back door, and they spent 15 years trying to drive around a square peg into a round hole. And they tried to come up with a solution that could not be there, simply because originally people understood it was inappropriate. So there are some people who say, well, they wouldn't make the decision today, knowing what we know. They wouldn't even make the decision on environmental grounds 20 years ago when the standards were even lower. That's the first thing to remember. First thing to remember. The second thing to remember, that if this site proceeds, it flies in the face of everything we have tried to learn in the last 25 years about our relationship with nature and the environment. We have spent a generation and a half renewing our understanding of our stewardship responsibilities. We have spent a generation and a half relearning new ways, or learning new ways, in which we dealt with waste management. We learned the importance, again, that we had forgotten for a couple of generations, even longer perhaps, the importance of water to human life. All of those things that we now understand to be part of the life of the 21st century. This site stands in denial of all of those things that we thought we'd understood and learned. And that's why Gord Miller, the independent, objective Environment Commissioner of the province of Ontario, joins you and all of us, and he's the one independent body that has been able to say so. There should be a moratorium and there should be a review of this site, said Gord Miller. Because he understands that what we learned for the last 25 years is not something academic. It is absolutely essential, not only to us, but to our futures, to our children and our grandchildren. Gordon Miller, if you've got one piece of paper, one article to give to somebody, give them Gordon Miller's report. He is the Environmental Commissioner of Ontario, and he says moratorium and review. Yes. The third and final reason that I and others oppose this site is for something that's very human, but it's also something we have to deal with directly. There are some people, good people, who say, look, we've spent so much time, we spend so much money, and we've decided on things, that we simply must proceed. They have to relearn one of the oldest lessons that we all learned, or most of us lucky enough, on our parents' knee. It is never, ever too late to do the right thing. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me finally say, to all of the people who have been on this site lo these many days, to all of the First Nations people who put in such an effort, and I might say, could I say this? Yes. Could I say this? My daughter and I do some work in Caledonia, both with Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal people. It is so difficult there because there is no connection between Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal people. The animosity grows as the problems continue to be unsolved. We were standing here watching all of this. First Nations people coming up, people from the neighborhood here, standing up and giving them an ovation. And my daughter turned to me and said, we need a dump, maybe. As the good book says, even out of evil may become some good. So let me say, on behalf of all of the people who really appreciate you coming out and all the work that's being done, Miigwech.
Everybody knows, I think. I know her. I've known her for many years. We used to meet in airports. Hi, Maud. Hi, Dale. Now we see a little more of each other. She is the chair of the Council of Canadians. She is also the special advisor on water issues around the world to the United Nations. She knows about water, she values water, and she's very much involved up to her eyebrows and beyond with the fight against Dump Site 41. Maud Barlow.
Elected politicians exist in Simcoe County. Well, there are the kind who voted against Site 41. We love you, we support you, we thank you. There are the kind that voted for Site 41, and you're going to change your mind, and we love you, and we thank you too. Now, there may be a third kind, the kind that voted for Site 41 and is going to continue to vote for Site 41. We have news for you. There's an election in a year. Keep your day job. You ain't coming back. This is what democracy looks like. I've been here, I drove 6 hours yesterday and will drive 6 hours home. I come a little bit of a ways, don't live in the area, but we have a lot of members here who are very, very keen and stand with everyone here in this community fighting Site 41. And I promise you, I and we and our organization and many, many others will continue this fight with you. We will not give up, and we'll come back until we win this fight. Politicians to at least stand back and give us all a year. What evidence do we have? They keep saying there's no evidence. Steve Ogden, the late Dr. Charles Worth, many scientists who are now looking at this site are telling us that there's something profoundly wrong at the site. And the model that told us that the gradient is upward, in other words, it's safe to dump there because the water is moving in an upward gradient all the time, is not true. Yet we cannot, and we have evidence of root invasion. Steve is the person who's put this incredible information together. We have information about water tables that shouldn't be the way it is now, given what happened, what they predicted would happen, and yet we cannot get a hold of this model that they used. And the company, Jagger Hims, that prepared it and will not release it, even though the Privacy Commissioner in Ontario has said, we want you to release it, we order you to release it, has been bought out by Genovar, a great big landfill company, advising the county on what a good business plan Site 41 is. It stinks. And we have to say it stinks. And that is the second reason that we have to stand back and have a moratorium while we find out where that model is and where we have an independent peer review. We also need to stand back because since that site was chosen, we passed the Clean Water Act in this province. And I don't know if you've ever read it, but it's really worth reading. It basically says that we may not put any material into any deleterious anything, dumping or chemicals or anything into any of our water, our drinking water, anywhere in the province. It says that. And it says that preventing this kind of pollution of our drinking water is the first line of defense for our good health and our environment. And yet, post the Clean Water Act, we're going ahead, or the county intends to go ahead and put a dump site on Site 41. Shame on them in light of that new legislation. I want to just take a second for us to remember that we're not just fighting about this issue here. We are living in a world running out of clean water. Now that may be hard for us to understand because back in about grade 6, every one of us learned that there's a finite amount of water in the hydrologic cycle and it can't go anywhere and we can't destroy it because it's a fixed amount and it goes round and round and round. Well, our teachers weren't lying, but they were wrong. What we now know, and this is proven beyond a doubt, is that a combination of pollution of surface and groundwater, the mass movement of water from aquifers, rivers, and lakes from where we can access it to where we cannot, particularly when we send it to big cities and dump it in the ocean as garbage, and we destroy it as we are doing with Site, or are they planning to do with Site 41, we are actually running out of clean, accessible water, and close to 3 billion people in our world do not have clean water, accessible clean water, within a kilometer of where they live. Every 8 seconds in our world, a child dies somewhere of waterborne disease. So this is not some kind of a game that's being played. And the most important thing we have learned is that if we protect water in watersheds and we retain rainwater, and we collect stormwater, and we treat that water with the reverence it belongs and has the right to, then it will serve us, it will serve other species, it will serve for future generations forever. If we see that water as an economic tool for us, we think we can do anything with it that we want, we won't be here. And I don't mean to make this too dramatic, but I'm working in countries and communities now where there is no water left. You read about what's happening in Mumbai, India. You read about Pakistan, where 3/4 of the people don't have any access to clean water. I mean 3/4. You read about the 22 countries in Africa that have run out of water. Read about Australia, which is not a poor country, that has overextended its water so much the river, the only river system they have, the Murray-Darling, is dying from the mouth up. I can take you on a tour of the world and show you that we are a world living in what scientists call hot stains, parts of the world that are not just experiencing cyclical drought, but running out of water. And we know everything we need to know about how to reverse that. Keep that water in watersheds and protect it, stop polluting it, do everything we can to retain it and to rebuild those watersheds. Treat water as a public trust and not as a private commodity to be bought and sold on the open market like Coca-Cola or running shoes. And while we're at it, let's stop drinking bottled water. Do you know how alone, we do not even recycle, but actually throw into our landfills or our rivers or wherever close to 850 million empty plastic bottles of water. That's just water alone, just in this one province. Think of what it would do if we had some consciousness about this, the spiritual dimension of water, the beauty of water, and how stupid it is to put it in something that's made up of fossil fuels and chemicals and drink it and think that's somehow safer. That water is a fundamental human right, not just for us here in this country, but for people all over the world. And this means that we're going to have to see water differently, and we're going to have to understand our relationship to it in a profoundly different way than we have. We're going to do that around the world, but we're going to start right here in Simcoe County, and we're going to protect the Essaunce aquifer with whatever means we have to use in our power. The next steps here for this fight are, as I see it, moving toward probably the August 25th meeting, unless there's a special county council called first, and making sure that when we come to that together, that every single politician in there knows that their political life is on the line, and knowing that they're going to take the right vote. I'm also very excited to tell you that Monday morning, the Council of Canadians legal team is going to court in order to promote an injunction, with an application for an injunction to halt construction at Site 41 because we believe it's illegally being done. Time. We are going to work with two incredible women and all the others who've had the courage to stand firm at the site. I want to just say that the camp, and we want to invite everybody back to the camp across from Site 41, has become the epicenter of the spiritual and political fight against Site 41. That ridiculous notion that people owe $160,000 after they have spent millions and millions and millions of your tax dollars trying to convince you of something you'll never be convinced of. Now they're going to make two women pay $160,000 for the site, the stoppage of the site. So I'm going to ask Vicki Mon Monique and Essaunce-Lamarche to come up here with me, and I'm going to ask you to dig deep into your pockets. We're going to have buckets going around. You can make the cash or check to the Council of Canadians with Site 41 down in the note part. This is going to go to the legal defense for Vicki and Ann. We are going to win this together. We are not going to let these two women be left alone. And they did name a number of Jane and John Does, so that means all of us in this room, we are all responsible for protecting this site and for protecting these women and others who have worked so hard on our behalf and stood up to the powers that be for Site 41. Vicki and Ann. I just want to end by saying one thing. We have a movement that says, and our motto is, another world is possible. And I'm going to paraphrase a friend of mine, Arundhati Roy from India, and she says, not only is another world possible, but another world is under construction. On a quiet afternoon, I can hear her breathing. Thank you.
For coming out. We're so pleased with the turnout. We were hoping most certainly to have it at Site 41 where people could witness. It is not illegal to visit the campsite, so please do not be afraid. And you will see how hard the Native community and others have worked to remain there in the rain, the wind, the storms, and almost snow this summer. So it's kind of ironic, though, that we are in Perkinsfield. A former Tiny Township councillor once told me, we're not necessarily NIMBYs, we're stakeholders, and we should actually have the motto that we're Nindras, not in my drinking water again.
Back to the camp and to come and see the blockade. A woman who was over 80 years old, and she said she'd never been arrested before. She'd never had a parking ticket or anything like that, but she said if she's ever going to go to jail, she's going for the water. Who come together on a daily basis. We call it the Site 41 family. Everybody knows each other and everybody loves each other, and that's what we're doing. We're standing together as a community to stop Site 41. We
would like to thank tremendous thank you to the Council of Canadians and FOTSA for putting this on today. Without them, and our township, we're so pleased, and I would like to extend my appreciation to them. Thank you very much.
And also on one last note, before we go, let's fill the courtroom on Wednesday! Stop Site 41! 9:30 in Barrie. Anyway.
Yeah, sure. about it, but could we have one more speaker? We've been talking today about garbage, where to put it, where not to put it. We should also keep in mind that we have to worry, I think, about the amount of garbage we produce in any given day as well. I think we should hear that message. Here's Sandy Agnew. Are you here somewhere, Sandy?
Okay, I want to tell you two things. The first thing is that it seems to get sort of forgotten here that the county now has more than 25 years life left in their existing landfills. So we don't need Site 41 anymore. We may have 40 years left. And the second thing I want to talk to you about is a group that's been operating now for about over a year. There's about a dozen of us on a committee. There's about, I don't know, 50 or 60 other people involved. It's a group called Zero Waste Simcoe. And basically, the message that we want to get out is there's no need to make garbage anymore. We treat it, it's not waste, it's a resource that needs to be reused over and over again. And how do you do that? Well, it's called extended producer responsibility. If you make a product, let's say a TV, then you design that product so that when the life of that product is finished, the components come apart and go back into something else. You don't take it to a landfill and throw it away. You don't put it in an incinerator and burn it. You use it over again. We put a man on the moon 40 years ago. For crying out loud, we can make a running shoe that can be reused again and doesn't have to be buried or burned. I was at a conference about a month ago, and one of the speakers was from a company in the U.S. that set up a new division of their company. It's a chemical company, and their whole reason for the company is to redesign products, to design out the toxic components of it. And they're so busy they can't hardly keep up with it. It's possible to design toxic waste out of products so that everything is either reusable, recyclable, or compostable. We witnessed this most recently with cutlery, throwaway cutlery, and so on, where you buy a polystyrene dishes and cups and so on, and you finish with them, you chuck them in the garbage. Well, now they make that stuff out of cornstarch. It can be composted, doesn't have to go in the landfill. We can do that with everything we use in our day-to-day lives. So, thank you very much. This has been pretty amazing. I can't believe how folks have come together on this, and I'm particularly delighted to see the Aboriginal folks working with the rest of us here. I guess you call us the white folks, but it's a wonder, and I'm so happy to see that. And so thank you very much. If you want more information on Zero Waste Simcoe, we have a website. It's zerowastesimcoe.org, I believe. And there's a little sign up here. And there are a couple of people in the audience, I think, that have more information. Thank you very much.
Just a reminder, Maud was probably way too modest to mention it, but if you want to sign up as a member of the Council of Canadians, the staff have some forms back there you can sign. Also, don't forget the petition that you can also sign. Also, don't forget, there are about 2,000 of you here. If everybody went home and picked up the phone and called Dalton McGinty's office and said, you were at this rally and you've got to do something about dump site 41, wouldn't that be a good idea? Do you want the telephone number? 416-325-1941. Let's say it and you'll remember it. 416-325-1941. Thank you very much for coming on behalf of all the organizers.